Thought 13. Education. The world improves every day, but no improvement has been greater than the internet, and nothing has improved less than education. That seems like a contradictory statement, because the internet provides mass education. So why do I make such a statement? It's because although education adopted the use of the internet, it did not adapt itself to the fact that the internet is present. People think that because schools can cram information in your head easier with the internet, that schools have improved. When the internet became a daily thing, schools should have been immediately changed. We are in an age where no one needs 16 years of information stuffed in their heads by schools, because if we ever need the information, we can find it in seconds. Besides basic math, science, and language, the rest of school can be dedicated to other subjects. Everyone needs to know basic math, adding, subtracting, and times tables and division tables and fractions, because basic math allows you to break down and build the world around you. Everyone needs a basic understanding of our current understanding of science. This will allow the average person to be able to understand what's going on around them and be able to survive in this world alone. The way it is now, if every adult human was transported to an isolated version of Earth with nothing but raw materials and animals, less than 10% of the population would last more than a month. People these days have no idea of what it means to create a weapon, to properly kill and cook an animal, or how to farm basic plants. Now that I think about it, the fact that botany isn't a part of the core curriculum was one of the biggest failures of the science community. The most important class that kids need is how to be human. A class where they can learn to create themselves and separate themselves from what is not important to their life and goals. A class where you learn how to operate your body and control your emotions. Which brings me to the topic that passed me forced onto me. That suckachump, I don't know why he would tell y'all I would put emotions in my thoughts about education instead of giving it its own space, but I have a rule that I can't delete, I can only add, so at this point I can only look back at him in distaste. The modern understanding of human emotions is impeded by humanity's propensity to categorize things, or rather our lack of skill of categorizing things. Love and hate are not emotions, you cannot feel them. They are both the thought patterns that result from emotions. Happiness is the first base emotion I will talk about. I think your consciousness is the evolved form of your subconscious. I think at some point in our evolution there became too many tasks in the environment outside the body, so the subconscious developed the consciousness, so it can think about the environment, and the subconscious can focus on the body. With that logic, the consciousness has all the abilities of the subconscious. So if your subconscious can make you happy by thinking, then so can you. If you're ever sitting around thinking you want to be happy, all you have to do is think about things that make you happy. Doing it on surface level works slightly, but I personally like to imagine the things that make me happy being in my reality. For example, you could imagine a perfectly cooked steak falling into your lap and imagine the taste, the smell, and the texture as you bite into it. You could also imagine someone you care about that you haven't seen in a long time walking into the room and greeting you like nothing has changed and doing the thing you always liked them to do. If you truly imagine something that will make you happy, it's hard not to feel at least a little happy. Not to brag, but I've gotten so good at it that I have to stop myself from walking like a giddy weirdo. But this method may not work for someone who can't think of a happy thought. At its core, happiness is your expectations being met. I don't know why evolution decided to tie happiness to expectation, but here we are. There are infinite examples, so I'll just talk about some things that make me happy that are really just expectations. I have a God complex, and with that comes a love of world building. So any story or movie that does a good job of creating a world that has rules and things evolve based on those rules will make me happy. When I ponder about becoming a god, I often cower in front of infinity. It's not that my mind can't fathom infinity, but my thoughts and my life are bound by time, and I often fear that I will lose my life before I become a god because I was distracted by an infinity. Unfortunately, the path to becoming a god lies within infinity, so I must search. When I experience a story, I expect that story to give hints that it's tied to an infinity. The second I feel like a story could truly go on forever, it makes me happy. The story only made me happy because I found what I was expecting too. But if I was listening to a comedian tell a story about his grandma falling down the stairs expecting to hear about how to learn how to fix my computer, the only way I would be happy is if the comedian was good. Sadness is the opposite story. After lots of pondering, I think that sadness is just the loss of something. So if you're expecting a big juicy steak and your dog comes out of nowhere and eats it in one bite, you would start to feel sad, but then the third emotion kicks in. Anger is the emotion that inspires action in defense of your expectations. I'm no scientist, but I think testosterone is the deciding factor of if you naturally feel anger or sadness when you think your expectation is about to be taken from you. So if you want to control your emotions, the key is to imagine expecting something, then change what happens to that expectation based on your needs. If you aren't feeling the emotion you want to be feeling, you either need to imagine for a little boost or change your expectations. As for fearing properly, you should fear what is an imminent threat to you and your goals.